What is up, THL? Welcome to Hearthcenter Week 1. We've got a fantastic show ready for you tonight. You may remember me from last night's episode of Around the Saloon. That's right, it's your winner of Around the Saloon. I'm RonMexico, and I'm thrilled to be here with a fantastic slate of guests here tonight. What
Ron,
we
you're
have
muted.
up first. No way, I'm muted. Oh. Oh, I'm only muted for you, not
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
stream.
yeah.
Okay.
oh,
Well, that's
oh.
good. Anyway,
Good way to kick off the show. Let's go.
good way to introduce yourself before I introduce you, Diamond. We have it's the man who carried Eddie to a TESPA title, the man with all the connections. It's Diamond 22. How you doing,
Hello.
Diamond?
I'm good. How are you, Ron?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Can't
Go-
wait to recap a whole bunch of things. We've got the seasons in review. We've got last week for a couple series that are either just starting or currently underway. So a lot of content to go through. And below Diamond, we have for you on your screen. It's the legendary, longest running active community member of THL. It's the one and only THL Lemur. How you doing tonight, Lemur?
Just doing fantastic. Super excited to get this inaugural episode of the new Hearth Center underway. It's going to be great. I'm excited.
Glad to hear it. And to the top right of your screen, not on cam tonight. I couldn't quite fit the pic in there, but that's all right. We have the man who holds 4 separate series championships in THL, fresh off of a wild championship win. It's the greatest of all time. It's Itachi. How you doing tonight, Itachi?
What's good, man? It's Mr. Steal Your Boat coming in fresh off the Wild Championship.
Mr. Steal Your Boat. I love it. All right. And last but not least, to our bottom right, he's always ready to put up a fight. He sings, he dances, his win rate's out of sight. Who else could it be? It's LotusKnight. How you doing, Lotus?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Ron. Very happy to be here.
Absolutely. Well, happy to have you here and so excited to jump into a lot of stuff here for you tonight. What we're going to kick off this first episode of this show with is a look back at our seasons in review for our 4 THL series that we had. We're now up to 5 with the introduction of Battlegrounds this season. We don't have a previous Battlegrounds to go over, but we are going to jump right into it. And let's start, since Itachi may be a little bit restricted on time, we're going to go straight to the previous Wild season here. Let's jump on over to there. And who better but to tell us how Wild season went than, one of the members of the Wild Championship team, Itachi getting that win, F2L Viridian over a Noyo team. Take it away, Itachi.
So, Wild Series, the inaugural, or I guess, was it season one? I
The
know that
first
we
one
had an
was like,
alpha.
yeah, it was like an alpha. This is technically like season 1.
This is
Official
season
first
one.
season.
Okay, so season one, the first season with 5 players instead of 3 went really fantastic. Way more people than we expected. I mean, we had Rami 94 come in and do Wild. We had power creeps. We had a lot of top Wild players come in, and it was just a fun time overall. We had a fantastic time. My team F2 Viridian, obviously we won the championship, but one of the one of the things that we kept talking about each week was that it was so interesting to see how many people would come from outside of THL just to find some place to play competitive Wild. And it's scary to a lot of people because there's so many cards available and you feel like the card pool is insane. But the barrier to entry is not that bad. And Wild as a conquest format is fantastic, even though it kind of sucks as a ladder format because of like Raza Priest. But when you can ban that deck or you can play 2 other decks that are not that deck, it becomes a really, really fun format, really skill intensive. And it's interesting because you don't have an HS replay to look at statistics and you can't figure out your best matchup win rates and you don't have exact numbers in front of you. You just kind of have to know the meta and be able to understand what's going on in the series or in that format to be able to be successful. And I
Right.
think
It's
that
it's
was
like
one
the
of the things
Wild
that helped
West,
us.
basically, right?
It is. It's a lawless wasteland, and all are not invited. But
I was gonna say the closest statistic wise I think you get is something like the Tempo Storm Wild Report, or there's a couple other Wild Reports, but they're not
yeah,
nearly as in depth as standard usually. Although VSs are good
definitely.
that just started up.
VS is good. Tempo Storm's good. There's some Chinese wild reports that come out. A lot of them are collaborative. They all say similar things. You rarely find anything that's different. But what they don't do is give you uh, the understanding that this specific card or these sets of specific cards are better versus this. And you can, like you go to HS Replay and you can click on Dino Tamer Brain and you can see that it's drawn win rate and played win rate is this and that. But you have every card to explore, and it's really awesome because you can tech for whatever. Like there's a tech for everything in Wild, so it's interesting, and very few things can sway a matchup. So just knowing how to do that correctly is super awesome. It's a fun series, and I'm glad we got to do it, and I hope it continues to grow, get big.
Yeah, I noticed we've got out of 10 people playing in this championship between F2L Viridian and Anoyo team, we have 9 people that brought Warlock, and everybody brought Priest. So there are
You don't
definitely
not
some
bring
like
Yeah.
there's some. Oh yeah, my bad. Actually, Marty didn't bring Priest, so it's 9 Warlock and 9 Priest. It just there's some pretty clear like favorite type classes in Wild that might not be the same in Standard.
And 9 mages as well.
What 999?
Oh, you're right. Wow.
Yeah, I think I was the only one
Uh,
that didn't bring a mage. Oh no, maybe I did bring mage. I don't.
You brought
You
Something
brought
that you
mage,
have.
yeah. You wouldn't go against your identity now. Come on, Itachi. You got to bring
Yeah,
mage in Wild.
you're pretty correct about that one. Yeah.
A good point of Wild that is super super good for the conquest format, like Itachi was talking about, is that because there's so many cards and there's such a large selection of decks for classes, generally you'll have more fluidity when you bring a class in which archetype you get to play, than standard, where sometimes class might only have one viable deck. So if you bring it, you're kind of showing, hey, I'm bringing this deck. You can know that information. In Wild, there's a couple of, like, you could be bringing even lock, you could be bringing, there's obviously better decks, but if you need to tend it to a specific lineup, you have that freedom to do it, and I like it a lot. It's
Yeah.
super cool.
So, and as far as just the overall season in review here, um, congrats one more time to F2L Viridian. They added themselves another championship to their impressive title collection for their franchise, as it were. Mostly it's been just Pro. I think that's the only title they had won before Wild, but F2L is a brand that has been expanding into every series in THL, and it's interesting to see them pick up that wild win. I'm sure there are more in their sights for the near future, but fairly closely contested match. A 17-10 can sometimes be deceptive, but there were 2 games that went 5 series, and even 3-1s can often be like something that turns on just 1 or 2 plays. So a very exciting conclusion to a fantastic first wild season.
Yep, for sure.
Any other comments about our wild season in review before we move on to the next one here?
Build a team, play in Wild, find a way to sub, get in the series. It's super fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Collection stuff is always a mind barrier, even if it's not a physical barrier. So maybe buy some wild packs. Let your free 10-pack legendaries tick if they haven't yet.
There you go.
Dust those golden pole kilts you guys
Yep.
had.
Dust the golden card.
I just actually did that myself. I randomly
Same.
packed a golden poke like not too long ago, and then they nerfed it. And I'm like, hey, sweet, 3,200 dust.
Give it to me. 2 free legends. Easy.
Oh, also, thank you so much for the support. Leumer, our own guest host here, coming in with a sub, as is always just in time, coming in with a prime sub. Thank you so much for the support, you guys. Really appreciate it. And with that being said, on Wild, thank you again for joining us, our Wild expert Itachi. You're welcome to stick around as long as you like. I know you have a little bit of a time crunch as far as tonight is concerned, so feel free to stick around or otherwise just leave when you need to. But we really appreciate having you here. And thanks for the sub too. Just noticed that one coming in.
Yep,
All
I
right.
had to start a hype train before I left, so I appreciate you guys having me on, and hopefully I'll be on again soon.
We look forward to it. All right, and moving on from Wild, let's take a look at Hero in review.
Oh,
So Wild is going to be announcing, of course, their award winners on Friday, but we do have award winners already for the rest of our series, and I'm going to turn it on over to our Hero Series expert on our panel here today, THL Leumer. Tell me a little bit about the Hero Series.
okay. So the Hero series this season, as has been tradition for the Hero series in the past couple of seasons, was just intensely competitive. There were so many teams that you could see winning the entire thing that it was difficult to narrow down teams even to who you thought was going to make playoffs at the beginning of the season. And that's awesome to have. It's awesome that our community can foster such a competitive environment so effectively. I will say that Purple Conference was very hyped up at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I heard it
Purple's
was
free.
free though.
Yeah, was definitely free according to some. However, we saw that at the end of the season, it was indeed two purple teams that showed up in the finals. Pour one out for the teal conference. We'll do better this season, I promise. But I think that Hero really is where the people that are very very competitive in team building, competitive in lineup strategies, all that stuff, really get to flex their muscles a little bit. They get to show off their really cool builds of players, a lot of different decks and techs and stuff like that we saw throughout the season on all of the Hero um, streams and things that were happening. So that was really, really cool to see. In the finals, we did have the Wild Aces versus the Challenge Stoners. And the Wild Aces, I'm pretty sure, is why Tesla disbanded. They absolutely slapped them. They went up 18-7. However, very important to note that Dardar did have a completely undefeated season, 10-0 on the side of the Challenge Stoners, and that's just something I haven't seen in a long time. Is 10 weeks
Yeah, that's
not
super
dropping a match.
impressive. And, it just goes to show how incredibly strong Hero was and how tough it is to get some of these Hero awards, too. We had a Rookie
Yeah,
of the Season and MVP in Astral Frog, only losing one game, and with the weighted game win rate, actually had enough to just barely edge out the undefeated player in Dardar Binks for the actual MVP. So Hero was just a gauntlet to go through all season long.
yeah,
The preseason Hero, I guess, unanimously voted team to win it all was actually Wild Aces. So even though they didn't have technically the strongest regular season, which would have been NPH, or possibly the most visibility, which was probably Challenge Stoners, large part due to Inzi and crew. Um,
or the most heart.
the most
Students.
heart.
Got it.
Transfer students, yes, plug your own team. Good move. But yeah,
Mhm.
just Wild Aces. They looked the part at the start of the season, and when it mattered most, they really showed up to play. And as their logo says, they were a serious cat and a serious team.
Yeah, very very good season for Hero. Really looking forward to this one that just started up that already had its week one that we'll be going over a little bit later.
For sure. So, of course, we do have announced already the upcoming Hero series. We have 1 week already in the books, which we will get to as soon as we conclude with reviewing the rest of the season that passed. Um, I also found it very interesting that Wild Aces played against Challenge Stoners, and our best new team was Challenge Stoners, with our winner being Wild Aces. So this graphic here with the 18-7 is extremely representative, I think, of just the Hero series as a whole.
The old guard of Hearthstone is going to be put down that easily. Come again,
Oh.
Challenge Stoners.
You love to see it. Lemur hyping up the transfer students. Now you got to put your money where your mouth is.
Don't
Any?
worry, we don't need to look at week one. It didn't happen. We're
Oh,
moving forward.
oh, okay. I'll be sure to
Yeah.
have you talk extensively about week one then, when we get to that. And we got some more subs, Jammies with a sub, 3 months. Thank you so much for the support. We appreciate you. And any other things that we have to cover about Hero Series in review before we move on?
Just the point that it was a fantastic season, and congrats to everyone involved. Honestly, it was good from a production side, good from a competitive side, just all around great season.
Awesome. So, with that being said, we are going to move it on over to the Legacy Series. Here is your Legacy Series season in review. And with us, we have our Legacy Series expert to run us through how this season looked in the rearview mirror. LotusKnight, take it away.
Okay, so Legacy was a really hot season as usual. Legacy has been really crazy. Uh, Two teams, Dead Legend had actually they started not doing super well. They barely made playoffs, and then they just went and went and went, and they took out the favorites who were undefeated all the way to the finals in HSA. Quite an insane match. Dead Legend winning the championship and finally removing HSA from the throne after the season before. So, yeah, this was just a really good season. Interesting fact: a lot of gold teams doing well. It was not balanced in both conferences to where what people say. The final was just two gold teams. Some of the Oh, were you going to say anything, Ron?
Oh, I was just thinking that yeah, it was a closely contested season, but it kind of looked like a foregone conclusion that we were going to have at least one gold representative in Hearthstone Academy. But gold definitely showed up really strong this last season. But HSA, as
Yeah.
strong as they were, not quite able to get it done.
No, not quite able to close it. Still, it's a really strong team. Um,
It's
we'll have
always
to see.
so fantastic to see teams like that play so well and then just can't clinch. There's just that
It
one
happens a
obstacle.
lot.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
I
With go for it.
there's this thing in every series, but in Legacy you see it a lot that a team dominates during the regular season and then kind of gets complacent and ends up losing in the beginning of finals or something like that just because they think they already won.
I wouldn't necessarily say complacency on HSA's part, but
No.
definitely Dad Legend, I think, is an underrated storyline here. They had so much to play for. Yellow Dart had made so many championship appearances, and bringing a team as storied as Dad Legend to the championship one more time, it almost felt like it just had to be their season with the way those games played out in the title. Everyone was so motivated to bring him home his first Legacy Championship that I know has been so elusive for him for so long.
I'm just
Right.
sad that we could not continue the memes about Dad Legend never winning a finals.
I think
Right?
like this is Dart's third final, and the two before he didn't even play. So I think this is his first final actually playing, and then he won, and that I think got them the championship, or it was one of the matches that led them to a victory. So it's nice to see. But this is definitely an upset in my eyes, to be honest, because HSA was undefeated prior to this.
Yeah, with the stalwart doing and basing as the anchor in the head.
Yep.
Oh,
Mhm.
we've got Donde coming in with a sub. That's 28-month streak. What a
Woo!
legend, the head of content himself. But yeah, I think we can't say enough about just Hearthstone academies. It seemed like they were illegal as a team, like getting Duin, and of course he did win Rookie of the Season. He didn't lose a single game all regular season long. It took
Doing was
until the
the cheat king.
playoffs.
It was insane.
Yeah. I think it also his one loss may have actually had an impact as far as like flipping seeds back and forth. It could have been tipped the other way for HSA, but we'll never know as Dad Legend takes home that trophy. And what about some of these awards here? Lotus, tell us a little bit about the best new team, Chop, coming in.
Sure. Chop had a really cool season, and they deserve the award for best new team. I'm just opening here to remember their exact roster because
I know it
I've
was
been looking at the
Liquid
new team.
Ox was,
Yeah.
I think it was the captain.
Yes. 1 second. I'll have it really soon.
No worries. Yeah, just looking at some of the rest of these awards too, really nicely done. Comp bringing Defias Brotherhood. I think it was, yeah, they're just Brotherhood, right? There was a
Brotherhood.
Protherhood in Pro, but they're probably
Yeah.
just Brotherhood in here. And just like with an incredible season, missing out on not having any 1DQ. No Glocka with a great comeback season. You know,
Yeah.
JR taking down an MVP.
JR played so good this season. All season he was on top of his game.
Chop was Markshire's team. It was Ox, Markshire, Durden, Scritch, and Sharkbait.
Apologies,
Wahaha.
Markshire. Markshire was the captain. Ox was one of the players. My bad.
Shout out to the content goat Saku getting BGH this season. You'll
Yeah.
love to see him. Good job.
Saku, I feel like, is always such a contender for BGH with his PR just like permanently,
Yeah.
seemingly at
Anyone-
50.
I was gonna say anyone under the 100 PR mark just has everyone in their sights. They're
Yeah.
gunning. They're ready.
Yes.
Like,
It's-
look
you just
out,
need one.
Saku's coming for you. And Legacy Series, very excitingly too, we are going to see Legacy actually go all the way up to 24 teams for this upcoming season. I don't know
Yeah.
how likely it is to see a Dad Legend repeat or for HSA to get back in this title run, but you know, it's going to be really exciting to just go through those teams in the weeks to come and see who kind of separates themselves from the pack of this gigantic set of teams.
I am never voting
Yeah.
against HSA again, ever.
Um,
This was the last season.
if you do want to see Ron talk about what he thinks about HSA and Dead Legend, you could just go to the replay of yesterday's show.
True.
This is true. All right, and any other things that we have to say about the Legacy series before we move it on over to our next, our final actual season in review in Pro?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
All right.
congratulations to everyone involved in Legacy. One quick tidbit. When THL was in its infancy, and we had like 6 teams or 8 teams in Legacy series, I don't think anyone realized that it was gonna grow as much as it did to 5 series and 24 teams in Legacy series. So congratulations to everyone along that path of happening, and I'm sure that this is gonna be a hell of a season with that many stacked rosters.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, and I would love to switch to the next screen, but my mouse is gone.
Oh.
That's
Well.
unsettling.
Let's. Did you try turning it on and off again?
Yeah, go analog with it, Ron.
Do you know how to go down
Ju-
the
Do you have a
other
wireless mouse
options?
or a regular mouse?
It's a regular mouse.
Blow out the dust. I heard that worked on my Nintendo console.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was what I used to do.
Is this the
Yeah.
part of the show where we complain about channel
Let's
points?
complain. I have 50k
seems
points.
good.
What am I supposed to spend it on?
I was gonna say.
Ooh.
I wonder who has the most THL channel points.
Oh, there's gotta be there.
I
We
think-
could see, right?
Can we?
Someone has access to that.
And
Oh.
my mouse is restored.
Yay!
So there we go.
Don't worry.
Moving on
Don't
over
worry.
to the Pro Series.
I took a
And-
drink for you, C-Mac. Don't worry.
No more complaints. Your complaint segment was very short. As we like it. So, season in review for Pro. In most weeks, I will be turning to Diamond to cover Battlegrounds for us as our resident Battlegrounds expert. But for today, with no previous season of Battlegrounds to go over, Diamond, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Pro series that just happened, especially the best new team and best captain? I'm sure you
Well,
you want to tell us a lot about that.
I'll say that after. Hype Horizon coming in, the first real like outside org winning THL and the favorite to win as well against F2L, who has made their name known in pro, was trying to go for their third championship icon, probably trying to lock up that Hall of Fame pro. But Ox and the gang, like Ox left F2L, brought in the boys and kind of dunked on them. I guess it was a,
I mean, they ended up winning, so
they did win, so yeah. And then the awards, I personally won a lot of awards. We got best new team, best captain, and the rookie of the season, Buck, who went 10-1 in the 1 seed. Didn't win MVP somehow, but that seems to be the trend this season with MVP, with higher records not winning. And then
Yeah.
shout to Goose, who flipped the 3-8 to an 8-3, who's on due process. And yeah, that's kind of how pro was. It was pretty cool. And now pro's gotten even more stacked. So if you don't have top 500 legend players, you're considered a bad team.
Yeah, it's
imagine.
extra crazy what we're seeing from Pro in the upcoming season. But this past season, Hype Horizon just showed up with, I mean, for lack of a better word, they showed up with all the hype and just really took it to everybody all season long. For the boys was actually a standout team in the regular season and looked like they might have a run at winning the title. But when it came down to it, it was sort of a similar thing to Hero Series in Wild Aces. The preseason number one, just kind of wire to wire, being the team in everyone's sights. And I mean, what better storyline than Liquid Ox flipping from an F2L team member with multiple titles to beating F2L in the title game? That's one way to assert dominance.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
It's very interesting to note that this like round of seasons that we had were some of the most predicted outcomes. Like we thought HSA was going to make finals. We thought Hype Horizon was the best team. Wild Aces was the best team. It all came into a very predicted space toward the end of the season. The middle of the season had some scafu in it, but now that we have had this prediction, I'm very interested to see if the caster desk can continue to predict correctly, or if everything's going to crash and burn in this upcoming season and people are going to emerge out on top that we just weren't expecting.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, I could definitely see Hype Horizon, coming in next season with a repeat, since they're just bringing back the entire roster of monsters that won the title. But Pro got a lot more dangerous too.
Well,
We have multiple org
F2L
teams
tried to do
joining.
that.
True.
Yeah, F2L.
So, I mean, we've already got the precedent here that, winning a title and bringing back the roster isn't necessarily the recipe to win it all
No.
again. Although I don't think they'd be too upset if you told them, "Hey, you're going to bring back this roster and you'll make it all the way to the title game." That's a pretty good achievement regardless.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
they had gone last the year before, though.
Nice. Yes. Good.
Bring it full circle.
Good point.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just goes all over the map, and it's hard to tell. And that, I
Yeah.
think, speaks to the quality of the players that participate in
Right.
all of these series, especially in Pro Series. Like Diamond was mentioning earlier, we have a veritable who's who of top 200 legend players right now, just as people who are making up team rosters in Pro. Like, honestly, you could just go look at the leaderboard for who's top 200, and you probably get a good chunk of people from there that are on pro rosters, in the upcoming series. It's insane.
Just look at McBanterface. Multiple number one legends this month and last month with different decks. Like, just nuts.
Buck's number 3 on the leaderboard right now, so that's
Yeah.
fun. And
Yeah.
then you just look, I think Bullstar's at number 10. Like, yeah, like Ron said, just go on Donkey Top, go down. You'll probably find more than a few members of THL now on there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And actually, I'm glad that you brought up McBanterface too, Lemur, because I think he's a great example of the insanity of the level of competition
Mhm.
in pro. This is a guy who's regularly top 5 legend in the last couple months. He went 7
Yeah.
and 5 in pro.
Yeah,
Excuse
that's so
me?
nuts.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always translate, ladder skill to tournament skill, although I definitely would not say anything bad about his, tournament skill level. I played him once in the Pro Series last season, and he beat me up pretty good. So, I'm very much impressed by McBanterface and the rest of Hyper Horizon. Just again, I just can't stress enough. We have so many good players in Pro. Any other things from our panel that we want to cover as far as the season in review for Pro before we start moving on to what we have coming up?
I think there's nothing more. I'm excited, even besides Pro and the other series, just to cover all the series. Like everything is,
Yeah.
for the most part, grown. I think Hero went down a singular team, but it'll be fun to see more teams, new series with Battlegrounds as well to cover. We haven't had that before in THL. Just lots of growth, and we'll see where that goes. And we get to analyze it each week.
Absolutely. What better spot than here every Tuesday, 9 p.m. We'll be covering all 5 series for you, especially once they're underway. This broadcast, of course, will be a little bit shorter to that end with not any series to cover except for Hero and BGs for this week. But shortly, we'll have all 5 coming to you, and we can't wait to bring that to you. But before we move in to our current series that are underway, we, of course, have to bring you a little commercial, some self promotion for THL. So let's switch on over back to our caster screen here. I think we've got everything updated with Itachi's cam and pick after him leaving. And I've got a little ad for you guys, so I'm just going to jump right into it. Hey there, Twitch viewers. Have you subscribed to Team Hearth Legends yet? No? Then make today the day to be a legend yourself and subscribe to our channel. This subscription will enable the THL team to help cover the various costs of operating our website, as well as improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. If you have Amazon Prime or Twitch Prime, you can actually subscribe to this channel for free. Subscribers will get a THL emoticon as well as the lovely THL chat badge. So hit that heart button and keep the notifications on to make sure you catch our team broadcasting live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out THL's other social media points of interest, our website, teamheartlegends.com. Follow us on Twitter at THL_HS. Join us on Discord at Team Hearth Legends. Check out the THL POW podcast for power rankings for all series wherever you find your podcasts. The true Hearth Legends himself, Saku, continues to post all of our videos on our YouTube channel. Just search Team Hearth Legends to catch everything previously recorded. You are, of course, watching us live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Team Hearth Legends, or possibly on our YouTube channel in the future. And for all you THL fanatics out there, we have THL shows every single day of the week. You cannot go wrong tuning in at any time for some amazing Hearthstone-related content. Now back to the good part.
Real quick, I think you were muted. I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but
Uh-oh.
no,
Well.
no. So good. Look at Auctioneer Ron. He drew so many cards during that.
So many cards.
Gotta
Full
draw
hand
all the
now.
cards. All right. And now we are going to jump into the only meta report that we have for you right now, which is THL's Hero Week 1 meta. I'm going to jump right on over to that here. We got the screen in front of us, and take this with a massive grain of salt. 6 cards just got nerfed, many of them Demon Hunter. But this is what we have from week 1 of Hero. Going back to, of course, our Hero expert Lemur. What do you make of this week 1 meta so far?
Well, I mean, the thing that you have to point out right off the cap, Demon Hunter actually had a sub 50% win rate, but that's not what we're really looking at. We're looking at ring rates, and we're looking at the amount of bans that Demon Hunter drew. 34 bans. Makes sense that the win rate would be a little bit subpar because people that weren't banning the deck were very, very prepared for the deck. So I think that now that we have our changes, we're going to get a little bit of a more stabilized, hopefully, bring rate and ban rate for decks that will not all be Demon Hunter. Um, Playing 37 games there. However, there's a couple of other standout things that we can look at. Most notably, the 66.67% win rate on the number 3 there, meaning that 2 of the 3 won with the Demon Hunter, Paladin, Shaman, Warrior. Um, and that the most frequent lineups for last week were Demon Hunter, Hunter, Paladin, Warrior, and Demon Hunter, Hunter, Rogue, and Warrior. I think we might see things change, like you're talking about a little bit with the nerfs, but for a week 1 meta, it seemed to be dominated by the ideology of we're going to ban Demon Hunter or we're going to bring all of the hate.
I like it. And Donde out here bringing Warlock some love. We've got very little in the way of Warlock stats. 6 games, 2 wins, 4 losses, but those 2 wins were Donde. So congratulations, Donde,
Congrats,
for making
Donde.
Warlock
Congrats.
not a completely dead class.
Yeah, my teammate brought it as well. Didn't go as well as Donde.
Bring some mage next week. Get that up as well.
Yeah, we have 0 mage brought in the last week of Hero. I also think it's very interesting to note how many paladins were brought, which seems to me to be a pretty direct consequence of how many demon hunters were brought. So with demon hunter nerf, a lot of times you see ripple effects in the meta, and you're going to see, the enemy number 1 class decreases in its population, so the biggest counter to that class then can also likely decrease in its population. Um,
Right.
you know, in a lot of shows or weeks, we might have a meta snapshot for you that may be a whole lot more indicative of weeks to come. This one, I think, very much not the case. I strongly doubt we're going to see 34 Demon Hunter bans next
Um,
week.
I would add one thing that I think is interesting and talks about the new meta, which is Paladin Rogue dynamic. They were basically the 3rd and 5th most brought classes, or most game count classes. And Rogue kind of got a really high win rate, probably because it was preying on Paladins. And I think that's something that you should be aware for the future meta, that Paladins are not going to be that strong when their biggest prey is being Warrior and Demon Hunter. Especially Demon Hunter and Hunter are a bit down, and Rogue is way more dominant.
Right, and we actually, you mentioned Hunter. Hunter has a above 50% win rate, but it did get hit in its main, most popular deck with 3 different cards being nerfed. So
Yeah.
that could also have its own ripple effect.
Yeah. And 3 of the best cards in the deck.
Meanwhile, Shaman sitting here at a 45% win rate, but things that make Shaman nervous have been nerfed. So we could see
Yeah.
Shaman very much on the rise as well. Interesting things to keep an eye on as we progress through the season. All I can really say is I expect that week 2 meta will be dramatically different from week 1 meta.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Never a better time to nerf than right after the first week of a season.
And Justin's hyping up Tonk Hunter. Nice. Yeah, we always run Bran and Tonk Hunter. Don't you know that? We just it's a fatigue deck.
Yeah.
We play him at the end. But seriously, there is actually we're hoping to bring you some highlights in the weeks to come as well. And while we don't have a highlight of it, I would like to turn the floor over to Lotus a little bit to talk about something he mentioned to me before we actually started for the show, which was a fantastic hero match that was on stream this last weekend. I believe it was Itachi versus Agent PWE. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was overall it was a fantastic game, but the Warrior mirror that ended that match was
Oh
just
boy.
such a well played mirror from both sides, and I'm sad Itachi is not here to talk about that, but Leumer can agree with me that that was just such a well played mirror.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting, and I expect us to still see Warrior around. So if you want some Warrior action and a really good match, check that out. I believe it's on YouTube now because Saku is amazing.
It was a very interesting dynamic. Lotus and I both had the pleasure of casting a warrior mirror, which I'm sure many of you know lasts about as, if not longer, than priest mirrors. But it was a very, very well played, well executed game, and really a clinic on how to play the matchup. It was Cthulhu Warrior into ETC Warrior, and you saw
Yeah,
both players actively every single turn play to their outs and play around their opponent's outs, and you could
right.
see it developing as the game went on, which it was absolutely fantastic, and I
Oh
highly
man,
recommend going to watch it.
slow down now. You're hyping this up so much. I think CMAC might have just had a heart attack from excitement. But this, of course, is our hero week 1 meta. I don't believe that Warrior is going to be going away anytime soon. So,
Yeah.
absolutely a strong recommendation. Check out that match if you can. Get some tips on how to play Warrior effectively, especially in a mirror. And that can only benefit you in the weeks to come if you are a participant in the Hero series. With no further ado, we're going to jump into the actual games themselves that produce this meta report, and we're going to lead off with the new conference that apparently is the free one from what I hear. It is Orange Conference. We've got this on the screen for you, and with the construction of our Hero Series, we have 15 teams, which means 5 in each conference, which means we have 2 games being played per week in each conference. Um, why don't you start us off here? Once again, I would normally lead with Leumer, but we don't want Leumer to have the entire spotlight since we don't have other series to cover for right now. So, Diamond, can you tell me a little bit about this first match? Tonk of Corny versus Servants of Yogg-Saron.
Sure. So this is actually like team comp wise, very similar teams. Tonk is actually just it seems like Aces and Challenge Stoners had a child and it came out. And also we have like team comp wise, we have the top 3 stacked versus both of them. Well, I guess you could say Tonk is more 4 and then lower PR, but Servants of Yogg-Saron, we're seeing a trend this season with a bunch of stack the 3 and then have a good 4 and 5. But it seems like having the 4 turned out because Tonk won 18-8. Skirt played on stream, I believe, and swept in his first match over Fish, which is, I think, what Zio did last season. So that might be something that could,
Skirt did play on stream.
yeah. So that could be something
Nice.
that is repeats from last season, perhaps for Tonk. We never know. And then the next match below is ATL versus Darkside of Cthulhu, two, I guess, classic hero teams now because Donda's been captaining a bit. Very close, 15-12. Any notable, very close, no sweeps, and yeah, keeping the conference close. Looks like Tonk is ahead, and then ATL, and then Agunga and among Agua, kind of doing bad. Only 0 points.
Oh
It's like
man,
they had a buy. It's like they had a buy or
0
something.
points. Well, they better pick it up quick. But yeah, of course, as you can see, we have the standings up top. After a victory, of course, you get the extra 3 points, leading to Tonk's 21 points right now as the head of Orange Conference at the moment after 1 week. And I love what you mentioned, Diamond, about Wild Aces and Challenge Stoners basically like kind of merging together to form this scary super team and going with the good luck charm. Have your 5 seed lead off the season on stream. It worked last season. Maybe it'll work again.
Yep.
Um, as far as the other match here, now Servants of Yogg-Saron, of course, they did have a rough opening week, but we've also seen that happen to plenty of teams that bounce back. There's plenty of time, of course, to recover. But when we look at this other one, this was a very close match between ATL and Dark Side of Cthulhu, and ATL picks up some pretty important early points. 18 is just barely off the leader. If they can keep up that kind of momentum, they maybe can start silencing some doubters as ranking them towards the bottom of this stacked Orange Conference.
Yeah, they definitely kept it close this week into ATL as well, or ATL into the Dark Side of Cthulhu. with the 15-12 score. I think something to point out here as well is that there were no sweeps. Hero traditionally has a lot of sweeps comparative to other series due to the formatting. And there were not any sweeps in this series. We had a lot of 3-1s and some 3-2s, so very, very close from both sides.
Right, yeah. Just no sweeps. Oh, there was only one sweep too in Tonk versus Servants, which
Yeah,
is also a bit surprising, especially given the score. So, we'll see if that's maybe a byproduct of the meta being a certain way, or if we are going to just start seeing more sweeps in the near future. You would expect, given the format, that more sweeps will be following soon.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Anything else to say about the Orange Conference before we move on to Purple?
I don't think Orange is quite as free as those that are proclaiming currently.
I
Five
mean, I think we
freaks.
have two teams that are like odds-on favorites in Tonk and Agua, but Servants of Yogg-Saron looks very strong to me, and ATL picking up a win early. Yeah, we'll see. I personally, I'm not a believer that any conference is free. I'm sure it's more of a meme, but we'll see what happens.
It's a thing in good fun,
Yeah.
not I don't think it's genuine.
Mhm.
All right, and now we will jump over to the Purple Conference. And Lotus, why don't you tell me a little bit about Purple and how week one looked?
Sure. So, Purple Conference, it was as part of the Purple Conference. This was quite the hot week. We had Vote of Some Confidence facing TPSS, and this is Ron's hot team. Heatchalk, Hat, Ron, Diamond, and Jim versus DeSharmo, JR, Oz, Washington Win, and Mike V. And Vote of Some Confidence won 18-11. So congratulations, Ron.
Hey, we have our own little stacked 1-2-3 team that we attempted. And our secret weapon, besides the fact that Jim is the oldest player in THL and a monster in his own right at 50 PR, we have Diamond. And that's basically like having
True.
Eddie. He carried Eddie in Tespa. So our 4 seed is a beast. Look out, other teams.
Thank you, thank you.
That's true. We also had my team's match, Dad Legend facing Fair and Balanced. This match was actually kind of crazy because we started winning our first 3 games, and
Oh,
then the other players lost. But a win is a win. Dad Legend takes 14-11 versus Fair and Balanced.
Yeah. Also, I like what Sharp is saying in the chat here. Shout out to Andy. I'm just gonna go with Andy until corrected otherwise. But the only person to not bring Demon Hunter also didn't even ban Demon Hunter and won
No.
3-1.
Didn't bring Warrior either, just casual stuff.
Yeah,
Andy is
who
not
needs
afraid.
who needs the top two classes in the meta? Not this guy
No,
We're high
or a
rolling
girl,
with
as the case
Shaman.
may
We don't need any of that.
that may have been just a shaman 3 games.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
that's
That's
very
what I'm
possible.
thinking.
Yeah.
Another
Um.
point of interest here in these two games that we see played, once again, no sweeps except for one of them in the 5. So in Orange, we had 10 total games and 10 total matches, and 9 of them were not sweeps, and we had a 5 seed sweep. And it's the same in Purple.
Yeah.
9
Yeah.
games with
Then
no sweeps and a 5 seed sweep.
Then we're gonna go to teal, and that all changes very quickly. Don't worry.
Well, maybe it's the exception that proves the rule. Who knows? But excited to see how Purple shakes out. I am, of course, biased and thrilled to see that my team, Vote of Some Confidence, is in the lead in the standings with 21 points, but Bad Legend is very close behind. We actually, you will see Wednesday's show cover the preview of the upcoming week, and it is going to be Vote of Some Confidence versus Dad Legend in the next week, which should be exciting. Speaking of that, Lotus, you and I need to play each other. What
We
say
do.
we figure out that schedule?
Yeah, sure. This is a good instructive moment so people learn how to figure out scheduling.
Yeah, on stream in front of everyone.
Yeah, that's
If you
right.
leak your IP,
Yeah.
if you could
No-
leak your IP address as well.
Normally we'd handle this through just Discord messaging, but
Yeah.
for now we've got all the proof we need in the VOD. So
Sure.
I'll start off. I've got a little bit of a busy week, but Friday, probably like midday/evening, or Sunday would be my best available days.
Sunday's good to me.
Sweet.
If you can do Sunday, I don't know if there's still space for people to play on stream. If not, we'll figure something out maybe in the afternoon.
We could make it quasi flexible. I don't know if well, you can't cast Schoolstone and play on Schoolstone at the same time, but I'm sure you could get a substitute
No.
caster if you want to play say maybe 4 p.m. Eastern on Sunday.
Well, 4 p.m. is stream is busy at 4 p.m.
Oh, my bad.
For
What's the
the-
better
What's your
time?
UTC offset? What's
I'm 2 hours after Eastern, so I could do morning if you want to be on Schoolstone. We can try to get someone to opt. Diamond, are you going to opt for us?
We'll leave the actual we'll leave the streaming open, but let's call it morning. Oh wait,
Sure.
Rod, did you forget about?
no, I thought the standard portion was just Saturday.
I mean,
I thought
if
the
people
BG's
want, we
portion
can
of
do
that tournament was Sunday. That's why I left Saturday out.
the BG's portion is Sunday, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, that's
We
an
got a whole
example
library
then.
for your own
we
content.
can spare the 30 viewers from
We'll-
the
we'll
full
spare-
tournament.
We'll spare our viewers as we work out some possible kinks with
Um,
the tournament, but probably Sunday Lotus will stick with that.
We may do just for CMAC, who asked if I could cast and play at the same time. You know, last time I played Ron, we were both live on his stream chatting.
This is true. Yeah. I don't want
So
a
if
repeat of that
that's
because
something
you beat
people
me up.
want,
Yeah,
it's
that's
always
how
funny to do that.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
how you schedule.
Okay, but
GA.
anyway, there's an example of scheduling. We will spare you from going any further into that, and I'm going to jump right on over to the Teal conference here. And Leumer, I was saving this for you since you were talking up transfer students last season so
yeah.
much. Why don't you tell us what happened in week 1 here?
Excellent. So don't pay attention to the screen. Transfer students had a bye this week. 0 games played. But we did have no pros here versus F2L Black. No pros here, taking it 13-11 over F2L Black. The aforementioned Agent PWE and Itachi game that was played on stream that had that fantastic Warrior Clinic. PWE edged him out in that one. Looking at that, it seems that there were 2 sweeps, which is already more than both of the other conferences combined. Pasca and the Chronic, or Pasca sweeping the Chronic, and Super Murloc getting swept by Kazargar in that game. And then I guess we can double back to Ask HS versus Transfer Students, where Ask HS took it 14-10 over the Transfer Students. And this was the match of sweeps. We had a bunch of sweeps in this match. We had Draco Cat 3-0 over Jester, Dr. BOMD 3-0 over Chaser, G-Kick 3-0ing Kel, and then the other 2 matches were very close 3-2s either way. I can say that my personal match against Doubles was one of the most entertaining matches that I've played in my entire Hearthstone career. There were some claw machines happening that made it very interesting. Yeah. But great series for both players. Do you guys have anything to say about either of these series?
No,
That's pretty intense that we actually had 3 sweeps here. So here is the nature of Hero series kind of cropping up again in one of these games that was played. Still interesting how close Ask HS versus Transfer Students is. A 14-10 with 3 sweeps overall in the series. So it's just one of those things that can just bounce around, go back and forth all over the place. The season is young. Transfer Students may have only 10 points, but they are ahead of Dab on them. I don't know what's happening there. 0 points.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they had a bye.
Base needs to pick it up. I don't know what's.
But we have your leaders for the three conferences so far. Tonk, if you were corny, at 21 points heading up orange. Vote of Some Confidence at 21 points heading up purple. And teal being headed up by Ask HS with 17 points. NPH just barely behind. And I'd also like to mention no pros here with this win over F2L Black. They are continuing an undefeated regular season streak. They may not have found a way to win in the playoffs yet, but in the regular season, be afraid when you play no pros here. They haven't lost since 2 seasons ago.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Woo!
Also,
Don't worry, we're coming for you, NPH.
in
We
my
got you
opinion,
this week.
this is the most balanced conference because this is actually just 5 teams from last season playing with new players, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's 5 names from last
Yeah.
season. I think it's fair enough because they all, I think most of them were close to or made playoffs. So
Yeah,
fun.
Dab on him transfer, NPH. Did Ask HS make playoffs last season?
F2.
They did, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, they did,
all
so
5 of these teams
everyone
were
made playoffs.
playoff
Dang.
teams last season. And last season was also a stacked hero field. So for all the talk about orange, I don't know how much is being said about purple so far, but don't overlook teal because this is a conference full of contenders.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
All right, and any last things to say about the week that was week 1 of Hero before we move on to Battlegrounds?
I'm ready to talk about
Um,
Battlegrounds.
Let's
you
do
could
it.
say this was quite a heroic week.
Oh!
Ah,
But
zinger.
Fantastic. All right, so we're going to move on. Here we have Battleground series. We are 5 weeks in. This is week 6 that we are currently underway as of a couple days ago. Monday the 14th started off week 6, and this is your week in review for the week of December 7th. We had in the green lobby Bob's Bounty Hunters, Genie in a Bottle, For the Boys, Friends of Bob. The blue lobby with Concede Your Match, Low Rags Raiders, Meal Stack, Meat Stack? My bad, Meat
Meat.
Stack, and Tier 1. And then the red lobby with Always Go Flurgle, Party Rockers, Phantom Force, and the Uncalled For. Diamond, why don't you tell us a little bit about Battleground series this last week?
Yeah, I'm your Battlegrounds expert, Diamond 22. So I didn't think I'd be saying that this year, but that's my thing, I guess. So
Look, it was either you or Brushy Tuna, and I just didn't want to put up with Tuna. All right.
Fair.
fair enough, fair enough.
I mean,
Fair.
you
So,
already put up
just-
and crushed him on Around the Horn, so.
Hey.
So just going over BGs really quick, it's there's 2 separate lobbies of teams of 4. So you play with a partner on your team, and you play 2 matches. So that's why you can see lobby 1 and lobby 2, and the black bold is what you got, and if you tied as well, and points are divvied up in that way. So we could see in the A split, Sleepy, Pocky, Cherub, and Based all with 10 plus points, and then the minimum was Dr. Fish with 8, and then everyone else got 9. And then the bottom one is more interesting to me. I ignore the bottom person.
Interesting,
They're
interesting.
bad,
Diamond.
bad
Yeah,
player.
what happened?
Our
Doesn't
our
play
resident
best.
BG's expert, Diamond
Yeah,
22,
really expertly showing
coming
through
in strong to introduce.
You should have had me the first week when I got first and like 3rd.
Right?
That was the week.
What heroes did you play for the double 8th finish?
Oh, I can't remember.
Timing's a
Uh,
funny thing.
I think Reno was
Galacron
one of them.
deletes.
It was Reno for the second one, I believe. But it was really interesting this week because Itachi has been struggling this week before in Battlegrounds, but this week coming with 2 seconds, especially sharing the top with Andrasti, who's a part of Bob's Bounty Hunters, one of the top teams who got 3rd and 1st. And I was in that lobby and just watching Andrasti and Hopper as well just play. There was just a huge difference. I'm like, there's a reason why I'm 4K and they're 10K plus. But yeah, it was close-ish besides the B lobby split, but A was actually really close, it seemed.
And we'll spare Diamond from having to talk any more about the green lobby as we move on over to the blue lobby, which should
Yeah,
hopefully transition.
the oh,
Hold on.
Hold on, hold on. You're on. I can't like. Oh, there you go.
Blue lobby should be up now.
There you go. So blue lobby. This one, in my opinion, is really interesting because of Concede Your Match, who was previously hyped up because they had Nenko and Larry W, who are both 10k plus players. But actually, your mum kid and PW have been kind of stomping on everyone because they're the number 1 and 2 in points. Your mum kid in this lobby getting second and first, and Jammies as well, who was on Around the Horn last night, who got a first and third. That's a notable finish. Watching the win improving from a 7 to second. And who else? AGPW was consistent, 6th and tied with 7th and 4th, tied with 3rd. And Scritch. Oh, Scritch got 2 5s. And yeah. And then we have Nenko, who is one of the more well-known Battlegrounds players in this series, who got 15. Neji, good at standard, but also good at BGs, going
Neji's
2
just
and
good
4.
in general.
Neji just good.
Yeah, really
And
just good at everything.
and yeah, that's kind of my analysis of this. Booze as well, been consistent. 3 tied with 4 and 5th.
Yeah, one thing it's important to mention, we don't actually have the standings up on screen. You can blame your host for that. But I will have standings for BGs reflected in future weeks. But we have Bob's Bounty Hunters is I believe, the #1 team in all of BG series that the rest of the green lobby had to deal with. The blue lobby had to deal with Concede Your Match, which is the #2 team in all of BG series. And these top 2 teams are far and away in the lead. The #3 team in BG series is Phantom Force right now, which headed up the red lobby, which we will jump into next. And we should
Yes,
have that up on screen. Go ahead, Diamond.
there you go. Phantom Force, which is the team of Rice Bowl, FBM2, Fire Emblems, and Eclair 6, I believe. I might be wrong on that one, but that's the team who's in 3rd. FBM2 getting, I think it's a more of a rare recurrence of 2 #1 finishes, which is kind of hard across 2 games.
Can I
But
speak on this real quick?
Oh
Diamond?
yeah, and
Go,
actually,
go
I
ahead.
was about to say, Leumer, since you actually participated in this lobby, why don't you tell us a little bit about
So
your experience?
Reggie got double Galacron, right?
Ah,
And the
Easy.
first time it was okay. Like I I played Reggie in like the mid game, headed to the late game in the first game, and I set him to 2 health. He was already showing a really strong Galacron board, a couple tier 6s, you know how it goes. And I put him to 2 health, and I'm like, okay, I'll put him in the back of my mind. It doesn't matter. He's at 2 health. Someone will smack him off a high roll. It's fine. That didn't happen, and he ended up having one of the most disgusting boards I've ever seen in my life. Ended up winning the first game. The second game, I got second in the second game, and I played Reggie in the mid game. You know, smacked him down to exactly 2 health.
ah.
And I had a really, really strong board. It was going really, really well. And then Reggie absolutely smacked me in the last round and just completely put it out. So the double Galacron worked out really well for Reggie, and he was typing in chat the whole time it was happening. It was quite fantastic.
Fun. It's almost as if we put FBM2 at 2 health, gains more power
Oh my
and
god, I didn't
strength
think
back.
about it. Oh,
Right.
It's like if I'm at 22 health, you better watch out. Something's gonna happen.
Nice.
Okay, and then looking at the second lobby B split, we have Bach for Life getting the 3rd and 1st. Fire Emblems, who is, I think, I can't recall if they're 3rd, 4th, but they're the top 5 as well players, leading the team with the 2nd and 4th finish. And Dragonair Oz, not to like point anything out, but they did struggle compared to everyone else in this lobby with 4. But then otherwise the lowest with Steffi and Maddie Ebbs was 11, which is pretty interesting to see. So some lobbies in BGs are more spread out with points. Some of them are more stacked up at the top, like the first one with just 20 and then 12 and 12.
Yeah, the B split looks like a really kind of close, jam-packed together assortment of points there. Nobody really running away with it, like, Reggie getting double first, easy
Yeah.
double Galacron.
And it does vary because Rice Bowl got first in the first game, but then got 8 and 7, so that equates to 12
Yeah.
points.
For those of
So,
you who don't know or couldn't figure out by context, FBM2 is Reggie. We will frequently refer to him that way. But there you have it. That is your Season 1, Week 5 Battlegrounds series, and we are coming very close to the playoffs. These teams are running out of time to find their playoff positioning. It looks like Bob's Bounty Hunters and Concede Your Match are a lock for playoffs, just about. As far as the rest of the teams, there is still opportunity to try to find, possibly in some cases, a dominant sequence of lobbies to try to sneak into the playoffs, but still a wide open field for the most part. Any last things to say about Battleground series before we move on? We had to lose Leumer, of course, to before we wrap up the show. Sometimes we have a little bit of time constraints, but we are reaching the very end of the show here. Any last comments on Battlegrounds?
just yeah, this is the final week. So if you want to, whoever team's gonna make it, and for playoffs, it's first and second get a bye, and the other 4 teams, so from third to sixth, they play a match, and whoever the top 2 placing teams, like collective totals, they make it, and then they're gonna play during that December week where you have 2 weeks to play your matches, and they're gonna play 2 sets, and they're gonna crown the first ever BG's champion winner, which will be very fun to see.
Awesome. All right. So that is our show. I'm going to be THL Lemur for the remainder of the show, and RonMexico will be a disjointed screenshot since, Lemur just left and I don't have time to adjust the cam. But thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. We've got a few final words for you here with upcoming shows for the future. Of course, tomorrow, we're going to have Tavern Talk, which will be every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Thursday, we're going to have Thursday Throwdown with some matches played on stream for you. Friday, most Fridays will be Friday Night Fights. This upcoming Friday is actually going to be the Wild Series Award Show and team reveal, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We have Schoolstone Saturday and Sunday starting at 2 p.m. Eastern. We have Salty Saturday with more streamed matches on 9 p.m. Eastern, and Sunday Showdown 8 p.m. Eastern as well, bringing us back around to the start of the week with another fantastic installment of Around the Horn on Mondays, and of course, back to Hearthcenter for our week 2 next Tuesday at 9 p.m. So thank you again, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Lemur and Itachi, for joining us, who have already left. And thank you, Diamond and LotusKnight, for being a part of this episode. I hope you guys had fun. And we will wrap it on up. Any last things to say?
All good. Excited. Next week we'll have even more because all the series will have started besides, I think, Wild, but we'll have more to cover, which will be fun to see. We'll cover
Yeah.
Legacy, BGs, Hero, and Pro. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Um,
Well, thank you again. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.